Michael knew what was coming earlier in the series. In a very similar situation late in the game, John Stockton had come over and doubled him and stolen the ball, which helped seal the win for Utah. He mumbled something like, Steve, be ready. He knew the camera was always on him, you know, and I'm like oblivious.
He comes off, I'll be ready.
And then I'm like yelling back, like, I'll be ready.
If they're gonna double team me, you know, Steve's gonna be open.
It is Michael Jordan time. Did not have the shot. Kerr hits the big shot, crank up the John Paxson 93 comparison.
This is a Silk exclusive.
Welcome to another episode of Words Music Dance, our last dance special. This is the last, 2 episodes of it, as we just viewed the last 2 episodes this past Sunday. Episodes 9 and 10, the dance is over. I'm not going to get emotional as we record this. I was a little choked up last night, just reliving it again. It felt good. Felt real good. It was historic. It was monumental. It was, it was intense. It was emotional, had all that. And we're going to talk about it right now, I got Lewis back, got Chris back, got Steven back, and got Jared back. All right, fellas, welcome. The episodes was a little disjointed, these two, because they were so close and they did the whole timeline thing again. So what we're going to do first is talk about 1997 and the Utah Jazz. First time we played them, So we're going to start there. That first Utah series, 97. The Bulls had home court advantage then. A lot of people didn't expect much from Utah. They barely beat Houston. Just got to the finals. They finally got over the hump. John Stockton hit a big jump shot. Lou, you actually said something. You said Stockton paid himself to Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo today.
Yeah, we're not gonna go into that. But that man even repeated. It just, as I was talking about Stockton, I just thought about it. You know what I'm saying? But okay.
I'm just happy to see Stockton trolling. That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check the video out again, but that's just. But he hit a big shot against Houston. They beat the Rockets, made it to the finals. The Bulls beat the Knicks right before that, and made it to the finals. So the showdown began. Bulls and Jazz. And the first game ended with some irony. We'll talk about later how that's ironic, but flashback. Brian Russell said during when Michael was filming Space Jam, Brian Russell said, "Why'd you retire? I was hoping to lock you down and guard you because I got the key to guarding you." And we all know how that goes when you say something to Mike, because even if it's 2-3 years later, he gonna remember. Like Lou pointed out last week. Nick Anderson said 45 ain't 23.
Right.
Mike mentioned that in a press conference a year later. So that just goes to show you these things stick in his mind. So sure enough, retired
memory of an ox.
Retired Michael heard that, and game 1 ended with Brian Russell, Michael Jordan 1-on-1. Mike went left, faked like he was gonna go right. Russell didn't know what to do, was frozen. Mike popped up, hit the J in his face. Game blouses. That was game 1. Game 2, Bulls won again. But 97's the 97 finals most relevant thing was with the flu game, and we still call it the flu game, even though
I'm not changing that either.
Yeah, it just sounds better. We're not gonna call it the food poisoning game. We're not gonna call it the food poisoning game, but the flu game is the most popular thing from those events. So let's get right to that. This was I believe game 5 or 4. Was it 4 or 5? 4. I think it was game 4 in Utah. And no, it was 5. It was actually game 5.
It was 5.
Game 5 in Utah. The series is tied 2-2.
It was one night before. It was one night before Game 5.
Right. So night before Game 5, Mike gets back to the hotel room. His trainer, his assistant, everybody in there. Oh, we ate already. Mike like, oh, word? Yeah, ain't shit. All right. I want a pizza. Somebody ordered me a pizza. So they ordered Mike a pizza.
But that was the only thing that was open and delivered.
Right. So that was the only thing available. You know what I'm saying? We can relate to that right now during these pandemic times. You know what I mean? Pizza shop only thing open. So the trainer tells the story. He says, you know what I'm saying? They ordered the pizza. Pizza comes. Five dudes show up at the door. Like, this is awkward. Thank y'all. Take this pizza.
They all named Dylon.
You know what I mean? And Mike eat the pizza. About 3 a.m. in the morning, Mike having he having the bubblies. Mike having some stomach problems, and Ahmad Rashad, all the news break next day during the game, flu-like symptoms. Y'all know what it is. Everybody knows. Everybody talk about it. We all know the flu game. We all seen it. Once again, not calling it the food poisoning game. You know what I mean? But about that game, what stood out most about that game? I want to ask y'all one by one. What about that game in particular, that flu game, stood out? What do you remember? What is your recollection of it? Let's discuss it. So, Lou, I'm gonna start with you since you're in the top corner there.
Well, to me, it showed Jordan was more than a human being, because not even flu-like symptoms keep the dude. Well, he dropped 45 that night, 39, something like that.
I believe it was
38, right?
38.
Yeah,
It was something like that.
Yeah.
Still, for somebody to be sick to drop that number. It was a lot. And in our finals, the biggest thing that stood out to me was the end. And I texted you about this. That Jerry Sloan was like, he was sick. Come on, man.
That was the biggest thing to me. I'm like, fam, you didn't know?
One, and I touched on it yesterday with you, and I was like, he couldn't admit that Michael Jordan busted his ass sick. Like, damn. For someone to literally bust your ass, and they're not 100%, speaks volumes of what kind of player he was. And it just showed that when Mike sets his mind to something, man, not even himself, not even his own body can get in the way of what he wants to do. So kudos to Mike for that, because people, you look at the league now, all the load management and the days off that players don't play back-to-backs, and they don't do the long flights. They stay home because they don't want to travel to the West Coast. Like, they need to all go back and watch Game 5 to learn what playing ball is about.
Word up. Chris, talk to me. What's your recollection of the flu game?
For me, it was more so about the team and how they stayed in it. Mike had a great game, but I forgot how many shots he took. Like, I think he took a nice little penny of shots, even without being out of it. And they needed every goddamn shot.
Right.
But, outside of him being sick, the team was able to pick up the pieces and still make big plays to keep them in that position for him to still do what he does, which is close it out and close the game out. Yeah, that shit was just amazing, though. Like, first off, I think all 5 of those people in that restaurant need to be put on Better Business Bureau. They need to be arrested from criminal charges because that wasn't no food poisoning. They did that on purpose.
Right.
They gave them some shit on purpose. Ain't no pizza giving you food poisoning.
Right.
Ain't no pizza giving you food poisoning. They put some shit in there. They did that on purpose.
You might have a case.
It was just an amazing output and an amazing performance.
Yeah. Steven, talk to me. Flu game.
When they described that sequence, I felt tired for him. Like, I felt the emotions that he was going through. Like, I felt bad for him because he was a target, It felt like the whole, the whole state of Utah was going after him. Like, they didn't care what was going on, like the whole city of Salt Lake. It was just, I felt like because it was 2-2 at the time, right? I think the series was tied up at 2.
Right.
Yeah, this was the swing game.
And you're away, and they say that it was flu-like symptoms, but I'm pretty sure it was food poisoning. and just you can see like from image and all the reels, like you can just see how exhausted he was. And like usually, like if you look at the footage prior to, you see him like more vocal with the team. You see him more animated. This game, he was just quiet with the towel over his head, and like you see Scotty trying to talk to him, or you see Phil like looking at him and trying to make gestures, and you just see his head down, like he was not in it. And for him to drop 38 in like a crucial game 5 to pretty much not seal, but get one more game closer to the finals or to ring number 5, he synonymously he would be. What this shows is how great he really was, you know.
I agree. Jared, talk to me. Flu game.
Heart of a champion, man. That's what it was. It's the heart of a champion. Like, you don't, as the man, you don't let your team down because you're sick. And he could have easily done that. Like, the dude felt like total shit, man. Like, the man had an IV. He was damn near on dialysis, for food poisoning. And he didn't want to let his team down. Like, I'm not the harper on Scotty, but when Scotty felt sick and felt like he can't do it, Scotty was like, "Fuck this, I'm out." The migraine game, his back spasm. And I'm not trying to discount Scotty. Like, it's hard to play through those things, but when it's your time to shine and you're in the biggest moment, the biggest stage, you're trying to fight through that shit. And MJ just shows why he's a GOAT. You fight through it. You got it out. If you do your damnedest. If you win, you win. If you lose, but you went out there, you tried. That just shows the heart of a champion.
So Chris wanted to know how many shots he took that game. 13 for 27.
Jesus, that's not bad.
That's about
50%.
Yeah,
he's the only player.
Had food poisoning before.
He was the only player.
That is.
Yeah, that's.
He was the only player.
Like literally every fart feels like you about to shit on yourself.
Yeah, and it's coming out from both. Like you come out here, come out like.
Yeah.
So can you imagine getting bumped and like, oh, that's a fart that's about to speak. Oh no, it's not. You know how wild his stomach was.
So
remember what happened to Paul Pierce? Remember Paul Pierce in the finals?
The bubble
my man got carried out. He took a shit on himself. Yo, I took a shit on myself. I got to go, y'all.
So Jordan was the only player to make double-figure field goals
on both teams.
In that game,
on both teams.
Wow.
Only one player played 52 seconds more than Jordan. Scottie Pippen.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
52 seconds.
That's crazy.
More than Jordan.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
My memory of that game was the beginning of it. You know what I'm saying? He was cold. Like that first quarter, we were down by like 13 or something like that. Like off the gate, it looked bad. Like, oh man, he's done. And it looked like nobody was gonna step up. Like I was just like, oh. But second quarter came, and he was like, all right. I guess he had to break a sweat. He had to figure it out. Like whatever it was. Like you said, the heart of the champion. Like second quarter, he went in. Halftime, I guess he sat out for too long. Third quarter was a little cold too. But that fourth quarter, he just was like, all right, I got to just go all out, wrap it up, got to end it. And that fourth quarter was huge because, you know what I'm saying, like for those numbers is typical numbers. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like you said too. Yeah, and like you said, Lou, like for Jerry Sloan to admit, I didn't know he was sick. Did you know? Like, fam, everybody's been talking about it. Like, scouting reports, you can look at the gambling line, like, numbers is moving, like, things is moving and shaking.
He missed shoot around, like, come on.
Yeah, like, he's sick. And then, two, if it wasn't even mentioned, if he wasn't, because they said he was iffy to play at first. Like, it was all they was talking about since the sunrise. But if you didn't see none of that, watching the game as a coach, as a manager, do you not notice something ain't right with Mike? Bump him a little bit. Like, hit him. Right. See, he look a little weak. Take advantage of the disadvantage. As a coach, that's what I'm thinking. Like, listen, hit him a little bit in the stomach, you know what I'm saying? But box him out, but, you know what I mean? Something. And for him to admit, like, I didn't know he was sick. Did you know he was
Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, unless he was saying that as I heard he was sick, but he didn't look sick to me. But to me, when he said that, it looked like he really was confused. Like, he was sick? Just when? Like, he was confused. He was just lost. Like, he was just confused out of it. And one little fact that they didn't mention, but was confirmed by his trainer, was the fact that since he was the only one that didn't eat, when the pizza came, he actually spat on the pizza. I don't know if y'all heard that story. The trainer confirmed this before. He said Mike done this before too. He said Mike didn't want nobody else to get no pizza because they ate already. He said, so y'all ate already. This is my pizza.
Nasty.
Could be some karma.
Nasty nigga right there.
Could be some karma. Could be some because if everybody else
coronavirus.
It's real.
But shout out to the people in that room, because it's been 13 how many years, and we still call that game the flu game. And for the documentary to be like, yeah, it was food poisoning.
It was food poisoning. And that was another rumor myth that because the first day was like he was just hungover. He was probably drinking. It was like Mike don't need that. He get drunk. Like Mike smoke a cigar. He drink his cognac or whatever. He don't like he get wasted. Like
during his life way back then.
Yeah.
And it's Utah. And you in Utah. Like,
where he
ain't shit to do in Utah.
Yeah. So, but the food poisoning story did come out.
It might not be the right moment, so I'm gonna leave him alone.
But the story did come out. Like I said, the trainer had said it before. He was like, Mike actually spat on the pizza because he was like, since y'all ate already, don't nobody touch my pizza then. And as I'm saying, it might have been a little bit of karma that got back at him. Like, damn, Mike, share your slices. Like, you got a whole pie, you're not gonna share? All right.
Yeah, that's when you gotta watch. I'm like, nope, it ain't hit this one.
Word. But so that was game 5. The Bulls won game 5. You know what I mean? Took the 3-2 lead. And back then the series, the finals was 2-3-2. So those are the 3 games. So the last 2 games, 6 and 7 tentative, is back in Chicago. And the highlight of game 6, was Steve Kerr. And before we get to Kerr's shot, because they did it dramatically like that too, were any of y'all aware of Steve Kerr's daddy story?
Nah. I did not know that.
I never knew that Steve Kerr's father was like in the news, not just sports news,
right.
In the news as an instructor, in Lebanon and Beirut,
American University.
Yeah, and actually, I think they said that Steve Kerr was actually born there because his father was working there and going. You know what I'm saying? I think Steve Kerr was actually born out there. So, a tidbit that I read somewhere, I don't know how true that is, but I just learned all of this stuff, and I didn't know none of that. And he said that the interview had asked him if he had spoke to Michael about losing his father, and he said they never spoke about it. And it would probably be different because Kerr lost his father much younger, and I don't know how their bond. They didn't really go into the bond. Their bond was sports and stuff as well, and he kind of dealt with it similarly how Mike dealt with it, but they said that Kerr, when he lost his father, he went and practiced more, went and played, basketball more. And Mike kind of said, I'm going to play baseball to take my mind away, you know what I'm saying? So they kind of had a similar story, but they never really spoke about it. I would have loved to see if Mike is aware of it now. And if they, because we already know their bond was over a punch in practice. But they had a bigger, deeper bond that, Kerr actually held on to, but Mike was probably unaware of. So I wonder if they ever had that conversation. But
DC, take notes.
Yeah, but now on to game 6. You know what I'm saying? Game 6, good game, back and forth, everything going crazy. Brian Russell, you know what I mean? His name gonna be said a couple times on here. Brian Russell hits a big 3-pointer.
Yeah, ball head guys. I'm giving him so much publicity.
Oh yeah.
B Ryan, Byron, B Ryan hit a shot, put them up. And in the timeout, Mike tries to, inconspicuously whisper to Kerr, like, yo, they double teaming me. I'm kick it to you. And Steve was like, yo, I got you. I'm going to hit it. As soon as you pass me the ball, I'm going to shoot the ball. I got you. And Mike's like, all right. Like, keep that on the low. Like, he's like, nah, I'm here for you, fam. I got you.
It would have been awesome if the whole crowd got quiet. And everybody heard the final thing. I was like, word?
So when you pass it to me, yeah, at the top, okay, cool.
The bad thing is, if everybody would have heard it, they probably would have been like, Yeah, the fuck right. He did that shit with Paxton. He ain't doing that shit again.
Right, we saw that already. It's a decoy. It's a decoy. But it actually happened. So talk to me about that shot. What are y'all thoughts on that shot? Chris, I'm gonna go to you first.
Deja vu all over again, man. You know, kick it out to the little short white guy. He gonna make the shot.
Basically,
coach.
I mean,
that's like a play.
And that's the game. All right.
I mean,
we out here. We on 5.
Wasn't nobody else on the team getting much shots. He wasn't gonna kick it out to Scott Burrell, Scottie Pippen. Yeah, you know, it was real shaky. But no, Steve Kerr made a lot of big shots in his career. I feel like that was the shot that put him over the top.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, just like I said with Paxson, his career is overrated. It's overshined by that one shot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Steve Kerr has gotten a lot based off of that one shot. And he has, fortunately for him, it led to a lot of opportunity to be able to say he played with Mike and he contributed to, a game winner.
It's a good reference to have on a resume.
Exactly. It was like, hey, at the top of my resume, I made that shot. So I feel like that was the highlight of his career and still is.
Mm. Okay. Steve, what's your thoughts on that?
I like how they blueprinted it with him looking at Paxton.
Mm-hmm.
And how I think they were really like coy with, he would watch Paxton's moves and the mentality of I'll be ready. So he was a student of the game and he knew his role in that team. He knew that he wasn't going to be the third option. He knew none of that. He knew he was a spot up shooter, shoot the threes. If you open, shoot it. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So and I like the fact that he knew his role no matter what. So when you see that excitement, like, I'm gonna be ready for you, Mike. He's so dedicated to Michael because when they talk about them fighting the previous episodes and how he mentions that fight made him bond stronger and how Mike felt bad and they they got closer with that. He, in a way, it felt like he looked up to Michael because he was so generally like he looked at him as like the leader of that team, which of course he was, but there was more to it. I felt the passion, like a brother figure. And so when you see that sequence, you can, and I liked at the end when they're at the parade and he goes, he says a speech about, I don't know if we should go with Mike on this one. I don't know if we should go with Mike on this one. So we should give it to Steve.
Right.
It just showed his character and just how good of a player he really was. He knew his role really well.
Jared, the Kerr
shot. The shot part 2.
It's Kerr's.
No, you know what it is. I loved his retelling of it. At the championship parade.
Absolutely.
But but MJ, and I guess it's because of the Paxson shot. He had faith in Kerr because Kerr was struggling, that game and series at times. So he had faith in him because he's seen him hit shots before and so forth. See, when the thing happened with Paxson, it was an accident for the most part.
That's true.
Like, this was actually planned for Steve Kerr, like, through Jordan. So, like, I give more credit to Kerr. Well, I give credit to both because Jordan enlisted that trust into Kerr. Because usually Jordan has said adamantly, I'm taking the last shot. But for him to say, little Kerr, like, I know they're going to double me. This is going to be for you. And that shows that the trust that he had in his teammates to make those shots. Like, I think at that point he understood, I guess, him being the elder statesman, is like, I don't need to always do it. I can do it. But I can also trust in my team. because they're battle tested.
Right.
Like, so, to actually go to a struggling Steve Kerr at that moment, it was huge. And I guess, yeah, he definitely has made a whole career after that shot. And that's no knock to him. I mean, the dude was there. Like, he made it. If he missed it, he'd probably go to a game 7. We never know. But it's not really a knock to Kerr to go, to live off that fame. And I mean, he's had a good career, after that. He's always been a role player, but he learned from Phil Jackson, how to be a coach and so forth. So, I mean, he's put his work in.
Mm-hmm. Lou, what's your thoughts on that?
So, definitely part 2, Paxson part 2. I love the way how the director correlated Paxson taking Kerr on his wing toward the end of his career. My biggest takeaway from that was the difference. I'm not trying to deviate from Kerr, but the difference in leadership between Mike and Scotty. Once Kukoc had that last shot, Scotty sat his ass down.
Mm-hmm.
Mike was like, "All right, this is your time."
Good point.
That's a big show in leadership there from Mike. Because one, like Jared says, Kerr had an off game. He wasn't knocking shots.
Right.
And, for Mike to be the decoy, like, hey, they're going to double, triple team me, kick it off to you. Shout out to Kerr. It's a big spot, and he made the shot. Steve Kerr is still the one player in the last 50 years to win 4 straight titles in a row.
Yes.
He's still the only player to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to him because he found his niche and he ran with it. He got to learn behind Mike, and Pip and Rodman and Phil. And when they called his number, he delivered. So shout out to him. And I mean, his whole background story just made me respect him more because I hate Steve Kerr. I really do.
Why?
He's just a cocky.
Wait, why?
Because he's a cocky coach. And now I know why he's a cocky coach.
Okay. Okay.
So y'all let me finish.
Is he really cocky though?
Yes, he is. He is. Yeah, he is. But I get it now.
I think it's just the LA swag. I think it's just that Cali swag of his. I think that's what it is.
I get it now. Like I text Paul yesterday. I was like, I kind of don't hate Steve Kerr anymore. Like, okay, I see why he is the person he is. So shout out to him because he's the perfect personality for this version of the NBA. Because he was there at that twilight when the 90s was hot, and he was there at the tail end of his career when the 2000 and the soft NBA players came in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's at that tail end of that bridge, and shout out to him for making that shot, first of all. Had he not made that shot, I think we wouldn't even have the last dance. We wouldn't have been the series because Jordan wouldn't have gotten the three-peat. The two-peat to get to the three-peat. So
right.
Big freaking shot by Steve Kerr.
Lou, can I ask you a little question real quick?
Yeah.
Lou, are you a Knicks fan?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that explains everything just now. Because Mark Jackson was the coach of the Golden State Warriors, and then Steve Kerr came. This makes that now I understand why you hate Steve Kerr.
No, but that's not even because of that. Like just listening to Kerr and his, in his media interviews, how cocky he was as a coach. Like, damn, one, I still didn't believe he took that team to the next level, but he didn't build that team. I say that he did get the best out of that team. So that's one reason I hated him because he acted like it was all him. It wasn't all you. It wasn't all you.
But in fairness, you can kind of make the case that Doug Collins would have had that ring if Phil Jackson didn't get.
Right, but we had the same conversation.
Yeah, we had that conversation already.
Yeah.
When I said the same thing. So, I mean,
he just took him over the top. That's all. I mean,
and that's what But I just hated the way he went about it. Like we showed that Golden State team didn't really need him. It was a system. Kerr missed half the year, and he still went on to win 60-plus games without him. So it was really evidence. I remember. Yeah, it was really evidence of the system. So, but now I got much tip my hat to Kerr. He earned my respect. Like I wouldn't expect myself to say, "Damn, I respect Steve Kerr." Mind you, he was on the Spurs when they beat my Knicks too. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason I don't like his act.
I feel you.
I think the biggest point that you did make was that leadership aspect of it, from Michael preparing him for the next play, and Michael's basketball IQ.
Right.
They've been double teaming me. I'm coming to you. Like that's a play right there.
Right.
He's drawing up a play. Like Phil's over there talking, they sitting down, and Mike just leaned over, like, yo, they doubling me, be ready. You know what I'm saying? That's he X and O them right there, one step ahead of everybody else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when they talk about basketball IQ, like that's what it is. Like Phil's over there talking. Phil's saying what he's saying, but Phil's really drawing up the play to get Michael the ball.
Right.
Michael's thinking of the next step. I'm getting the ball. Oh, I'm getting the ball, but when the double comes,
you got to think what that does to a player's psyche. Like if Mike is counting on me to make a shot,
right? I can't.
You must believe my heart isn't making this shot.
Yeah,
like, I need to make this shot. Like, I may not be on the team after this if I miss this shot.
And that goes back to how rough Mike is on them practices. Right. How they always talked about, he's bullying, prepared them for their moment, whatever that moment is gonna be. They done been through I fought this dude. Like me and him.
Right.
What else could he, you know what I'm saying? Anything else is nothing because we got his back. Like, so it's like, okay, yeah, he's ready, and that's exactly what it was. He's like, I'm gonna be ready for it. Like, so it was a go. It wasn't even like he had to adjust or let me get some practice shots. No, it's what you do. Like, this is what you do. When the double comes, I'm kicking it. Just go from there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that was huge. Like, and it goes to that speaks to his leadership, the basketball IQ, Kerr's readiness, his him being ready for it, and everybody just being ready, whether you're the 12th man or whatever, like just being prepared for your moment, and you know what I'm saying, and because you never know when it's gonna come. Like Paxson. Paxson's was, like you said, was an accident. It passed about 3-4 passes and then just, you know what I mean? Like he could have froze up and be like, Mike, Mike, come get it. He took the shot. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what your role is. That's all you're there for. And you wide open, take that. You know what I'm saying? And me and Lou was actually talking about it too. Like Kerr's shot was a free throw line shot. Like it was a free throw line jumper. As little kids in the hood, that's your number. That's your first play. Like, yo, stand right here. I'm gonna kick it to you. Shoot the ball. Like that's basketball 101 for every short kid. Like every, you know what I'm saying? Like that's when you the little dude. That's your play. Wait, right?
Make a free throw. Make a free throw.
Stand right here, and when they come to me, I'm gonna throw it to you. Shoot the ball. Aim for the box. Hit the box. That's your shot. And that was the.
But had this been 2010 and beyond, that'd have been a three. He do it, ran it back to the 3-point line and shot that
that's
three.
The triangle. That's the thing about the triangle. The spacing is the biggest thing about the triangle. When Mike went left, Kerr knew to roll over with him. The spacing is there. He didn't tell him really where to be at. He just said, be ready. The triangle offense is a system that already tells him where to be at and where he's going to be at. So when Mike looked, he stepped into the shot. Like he's ready for it. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of it too. He didn't have to be like, yo, I'm over here. Like, or where to be at. Like the triangle is about the spacing and where to be at with the motion of the offense. And that's why he rolled right into it, caught it.
Curry ain't have to bring the ball up. He ain't have to set the offense up. Just make a shot.
Just make the shot.
He's the only point guard that get credit as a point guard who didn't have to do point guard shit.
Well, Harper, BJ, they all had the same role. Paxson,
right.
Harper wasn't running point. He was just another guard to play defense.
Harper was there for defense, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Nobody said Harper was a great point guard. No, Harper played good defense.
Nobody says Kerr is a great point guard. Nobody says that. Stop it, Chris.
Fuck him.
Anyway, at the end of the episode, we also got a little insight into, Michael Jordan's friends, his only friends, his security team. You know what I mean? And we found out that Gus Lett was like a father figure to him after his father passed away. We already saw the blonde haired dude, John, what's his name? John Michael, I think it is. John Michael, that was Michael Jordan's crew. You know what I mean? Like that was his friends. That was his crew. That was his crew of people that he hung, often spoke with. And like I said, Gus became like a father figure to him. And it goes back to that conversation about, celebrity status and, what you can do, what's normal, what's not. And it's like his best friends was kind of these older dudes who just kind of still worked with him. They were still kind of, co-workers, but that was who he was friendly with. And Gus became like a father figure to him. He would call him when he was emotional about his dad. He would speak to him, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, that was another humanizing aspect of Michael. You know, it was like these common guys, these guys. You know, this is retired police officers, security guards. Like, but that's like his besties. You know what I mean?
Right.
He flipping quarters with John Michael, who's now famous. You know what I'm saying? He's got his own. If you type in Jordan Shrug in the GIF,
he comes up. Yeah,
he comes up now. Not Michael Shrug. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just need a shirt with his face on it.
You know?
Or a hat or something.
I tell you, I'm gonna be here for Halloween.
There you go.
Word, that mullet is everything.
So I just wanted to say, rest in peace, because both of them passed away. Gus Lett and John Michael Wozniak. Both of them gentlemen, and I believe there was another dude too, but those were like the main guys that was kind of highlighted. Gus was mentioned and highlighted in this episode, but John Michael became,
a star. Yeah.
He became a star before they even had a plan to even make him a star. He just, him doing the shrug, the blonde head, like
just happened. Word.
Yeah, he just happened. So shout out to him. They both passed away. I believe John Michael passed away this year. And Gus passed away in
January.
2000. Yeah. And the episode actually ended too with the little rest in peace to them. So, shout out to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those Mike's boys. Like that was, that was his crew.
You could tell they were his crew too, because for John to even have the courage to be like,
right, and Mike not swing on him or be like, yo, get the quarters back again. Let's keep it going. Like Mike let it rock. He paid him his $20.
He didn't see you fired.
Nothing.
And that was Mike's.
But really, what you gonna do? I'm your security, motherfucker.
Right. You can't keep bringing in new people. You got to build a relationship with these guys.
I'll let all three of these away team fans come in here and bust your ass.
Right. You know what I mean? So it was definitely cool. But we're gonna wrap that up right there, and then we'll come back and do the next part.
This is a Silk exclusive.